Welcome in, listeners. This is Margin Mavens, a podcast hosted by Steph and Kayla, where we share our thoughts on all things literature. Today's episode is about The Poppy War by RF Kuang, a grim, dark fantasy about Rin and the realities of war. Since it is a grim, dark fantasy, y'all, please keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of triggering content. Like, lots and lots of triggering content. So please read and listen at your own pace. Take yourself into consideration when doing so. We are joined today by Fee, aka You Can Call Me Fee Does Books, over on Instagram, another amazing bookish content creator. Make sure you give her a follow over there. Now grab a drink and a snack, unless you're driving, then 10 and 2, and come hang out with us while we dive in. We're not driving in, we're diving in. So my darlings, I don't know where Stephanie is, but we're going to keep trucking along. She may pop up here in the middle of it. Don't know. But we have Fee here.
Hi.
And we're very excited to get the chance to talk about the Poppy War.
Thank you so much for having me, Kyla.
Yeah.
And Stephanie eventually.
Thank you so much for being here. This book was tough.
Yeah. Like I was just saying to you, I'm excited to talk about traumatizing books is kind of my thing, your thing as well.
Yes.
I mean, I read this probably, I think it was 2022. And I haven't managed to reread. It's something I want to do, but it's
heavy.
I love it. It's my favorite Kuang, and I can say this because I've read all of Kuang books, including Catabasis, however you say it.
Oh, okay.
It's still my favorite Kuang work.
The first book, or just the trilogy
in general?
The trilogy in general.
I think it was one of the first grim dark fantasies I read, because for me, I had the period that I read fantasy when I was a kid. I stopped reading in uni and then went back to fantasy through, moving to the UK. And then reading kind of like his Dark Materials, which, by the way, also not the kids' trilogy. I was completely wrong when I went into it. A lot of people in the UK read it when they're kids, so I was like, it's not. And then I kind of start dwelling into more fantasy. And I think this was my first proper grimdark fantasy.
Yeah,
it completely shifted my perception about fantasy.
Grimdark fantasy is not for
the weak.
It's not for the weak. It's really not. I was trying not to say not for the weak, because you're not weak if you can't read it. No. I tend to avoid grimdark because I'm just a sensitive person. So like, if I'm not in a good mindset and I read a grimdark, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
So like, it's really difficult to read something but it's also necessary. Like, I feel like reading The Poppy War, and in fact the trilogy in general, is necessary because it is very much the realities of war that Rin is dealing with. Not just war, but like sexism as well, which she faces a lot throughout the entire book. Like, she never catches a break, and at one point you're just like, man, can't Rin just catch one smidge of a break? And it's just one after the other, and just when you think things are getting good, then it's like,
I think for me, it made me really, we're talking about the first book, but in general as well, I think Kuang does a great job in criticizing like the typical fantasy structure. So it just puts a lot of question marks about like assumptions, like, I don't like to talk about just tropes, but like the chosen one and the magic schools, or wars being heroic. It really opened my eyes to like a lot of like historical things that I didn't know. You can tell you can tell RF Kuang knows a lot about what she writes, right? But for me, it was a bit more. A lot of the internet discourse that I've read is about, oh my god, nobody likes Rin. Like, you can never say that Rin is your favorite character, I feel. She's so complex, but at the same time, I think that's the point. You need to be uncomfortable with the story and the characters. Like Rin
Yeah.
is not supposed to be
You're
likable.
really not supposed to like anybody because
No.
everybody is they're all complicated, dangerous individuals.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In other books, you might, oh, the secondary character is probably my favorite. Oh, the main character, oh, she's the chosen one. But I think she does a great work in like putting those typical fantasy tropes or structures that
Right.
we usually see and root for, and by the end of it, you're just, oh my god, do I continue reading the rest
Yes.
of the book?
Yes.
I mean, I you were telling before we started that you haven't
Yeah.
read the rest
I
of
have
it.
not read the rest of the trilogy yet as of the time of this recording, y'all. And let me tell you, there was that moment, there's about a week after I finished The Poppy War, I'm like, I should pick up the second book right now. I should just pick it up right now, rip it off like a band-aid. And then I was like, or, counterpoint, I could choose to love myself and pick up something a little bit floofier for me
Yeah,
until it
I
doesn't hurt
think
as
I
much.
read everything in one go. I think I did because I was just like, for me, it just opened this box that I was like, oh, okay, this is actually
Yeah,
showing the two sides, that magic is not just a gift, and she just doesn't go to school and she becomes the best, and it's all,
right.
she suffered so much. I mean, in the first chapter, there's again, people that are listening, this has gotta have spoilers and is trigger warning
Yes.
for like the
Yes.
first chapter where she does that scene to get rid of her uterus so she doesn't have
Oh, yeah.
periods.
Oh
Um,
my gosh. I was like, oh, is she really going to
anyway,
do it? Because, like, you don't get that with female
no,
led protagonists in fantasy. Like, they're very much still held up to the standard of, oh, you have a uterus, you have a
yeah,
womb, we must use it. And Ren immediately is like, nah,
no, not
I don't
really.
need it. Bye. Yank that out.
It's also that thing of I don't know, is just first it goes very deep into academic, and she's like, right, I am not going into the traditional role of a woman, and
Hmm.
I and you're rooting for that, but like the narration of it all, you soon realize that is this is not going to be a fluffy story, that is like it's going to be horrible the first two chapters, she's going to suffer a lot, then she goes to this school and she's going to find this power and she's going to be amazing. It's just horrible, and it shows as well that magic is not just a gift, it can have a dark side and
Yes.
it can consume you. I think that's the thing on the book that I was just like, oh shit, this is this
Yeah.
is not stop being brutal.
Especially because she leans toward uh fire. Like she has that prevalence to use fire based
Right.
magic, which, as we all know, fire is uncontrollable, it's unpredictable. So like just, and Rin herself is very fiery in temper.
Yeah.
Like she will burn things down and then maybe ask questions after.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've read. I don't know if it's my algorithms are a bit, social media these days, but there's a lot of discourse about not liking this trilogy, which for me is a bit surprising. Maybe it's just my algorithm not giving me what I like. That could be the thing. There's a lot of discourse about her power, the whole thing, the whole book being violent, but like the power, her power becoming very violent very quickly. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the uncomfortable place that RF Kuang
Right.
wants it to be. I think that's how I felt at the end of it. I was just like, homegirl is really not thinking like you were saying, and she just goes for it. But
Mm-hmm.
the analogy of the fire, of her being reckless and fire burning everything. I mean, the last book is called The Burning God, everyone.
Yeah.
So
So,
you
I
have,
can only imagine what that's going to look like when I get there.
there's a lot. I think there's a lot of little. I don't like to say Easter eggs, but I mean, I think it's just so well constructed. Like the foundations on the first book, on the Poppy War, are
Mm-hmm.
incredible for the rest of the trilogy. And I think people need to realize that yes, in the beginning it talks a lot about ambition and escaping traditional roles and sacrifice, but then it just starts giving you a lot of mysticism. I really enjoyed the mysticism, the
Yes.
shamanism. It's a again a different type of fantasy that I usually read as
Mm-hmm.
well. But then it just starts mirroring like war crimes, trauma, control, loss of control, danger, power, and then power as destruction, not just war.
Right.
All of this power that they're going to nurture or she's going to nurture is not just is not going to be just for good things. And the good things, do they end up being good after all of it? Um, wow, this is becoming very deep. I didn't think I had
Yeah.
this.
But like, I mean, spoilers, the book ends and she has burned an entire
Oh my god.
island, like an entire nation basically.
I know we're talking
Goosebumps.
about fire, but I literally have
Yeah.
goosebumps. It's just
Like she gets so mad and she just goes to this temple of the phoenix and just lets them in, and the phoenix is like, excellent, now I can exact my revenge, and suddenly there's an entire island on fire.
it, I I'm even shaking thinking
uh,
about it. There's a lot of metaphors in it. I want
mm-hmm.
to say like it's. I think there's a lot of metaphors about feminism, about class, and then about uncontrollable power. But is that thing that everyone is that debate of, is she a villain? Is she good? Is it the gray moral grayness aspect? I mean, I
Right.
think it was the first time that I actually dwelt into what is a morally gray character or what is a
Mm-hmm.
morally gray kind of fantasy. Still don't have answers for it. I think at some point we all fall into the discourse everything is morally gray. But it's really hard because, again, because you for me it was the whole book. I can tell that RF Kuang is trying to say this is not a normal fantasy. I'm debating
Right.
all that you know about fantasy and your typical hero. So by the end of it, I want to root for Ren, but she just used their power to destroy and commit genocide, which is the
Just like
thing that she is
fighting
fighting
against
against.
too. Like
Um,
it's such a difficult book because it's like you do want to root for Ren the entire time, like especially the first half of the book, I would say.
yeah,
She is actively working against all of the sexist and classist beliefs against her. And you're like, yes, Ren, you can do this, you can do this. And then her anger starts to fuel her decisions more than logic does.
yeah,
And you just see that like devolve into her being willing to do whatever it takes to keep her safe and like her people. Although I would even question if she's really keeping her people safe, um, because of
yeah.
the decisions that she makes.
I think she still holds that in this book. I'm trying not to talk about the whole trilogy because you haven't
Yeah.
read the whole trilogy, but it's really hard. On this book, I think she still has that, even when she loses her power. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she still has that. And I think you'll see this. Is this a spoiler? In the
It's
beginning of
okay. You can give a little bit.
in the beginning of the second book, you can tell there is that kind of
Belief.
belief and kind of her struggle in her head that is, I'm doing this for the greater good, kind of.
Right.
Um, the other thing that I found very interesting, and this is one of the things I didn't think when I was trying to jolt my ideas for the podcast, was although I'm not looking at any of them now, was for me as well was about the opium bit of the book.
Yeah.
Again, something that I've read a lot of, actually non-fiction books and some fiction books. Back in Portugal, there's a few fiction books about the world of drugs in our own world, because Portugal has got this
Mm-hmm.
had good policies about drug use and reduce a lot of drug use. But I hadn't read that in a fantasy. I think by this time when I read this trilogy, and the whole consumption, spiritual restraint, or to use that with the shamanism, that was very interesting for me. But it was also about the addiction versus the gift, like the opium
Right.
helping Ren getting to a place, but then the consumption of it and the whole political debate behind it. I mean, I think in terms, if you're a big fan of historical stuff, this book has it all, really.
It
Uh,
does. It does.
yeah.
It pulls from a lot of historical sources, and you can see that in the writing itself. I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, the war mentioned
Yeah.
in the Poppy War is based on a
Synod.
real,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that, I mean, man, it's just, it's a dark book, y'all. It's very dark. It's not. People weren't kidding when when they
No,
said
no,
it was
no,
really
absolutely.
dark.
When I read it, I don't. Again, I didn't have a lot of people around me. That's when you guys probably know about Fantasy Fellowship is one of the biggest servers in the UK. Um, props Fantasy Fellowship, because they did get me to read a lot of things, including the Bone
Right.
season. By the way, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. But I remember people talking. Oh yeah, RF Kuang. Oh, she wrote the. She was what 19 when she wrote this. Was she
Yeah, I think
19?
she was young.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
It
That is
is.
anyway. And I remember, and I started roller skating in the UK and made loads of friends. And one of my friends, Laura, she was the one saying, "Look, I've read this ages ago. It's so good. It's very traumatizing." She also likes a lot of traumatizing books. And I was like, "Cool. I like to cry when I read." And I grabbed I still have videos of like finishing this trilogy that pops in my memories on my phone every now and then. And I'm just wow. It
Just
is a journey. But I think if you wanna I think for me, I don't think I've ever recommended this trilogy to someone, but when I talk about it is I loved it. I
mm-hmm.
feel like I'm recommending a little life or something sometimes. It's like I love it. I'm not going to recommend it, but if you want, I think if you want to challenge your perceptions on fantasy, um,
Yes.
it's the trilogy for it. Especially the first book is, and I think that turnaround of the first book when she goes to school and she starts being bullied and the
Mm-hmm.
classicism is there, and she's still, you know, ignored and everything, and you kind of like, oh, this is going to be like a magic school, and she's going to, and then you
Yeah.
just twist when everything
Yeah.
just starts
It
ramping.
just goes straight to war, and then everything goes downhill from there.
Yeah, because I think even the first chapter when she self harms herself and is like, don't have time for periods, goodbye. You kind of like, oh, this happened, bit
Mm-hmm.
weird, bit traumatizing, but it's not going to be like that. At least that's how I thought. It
Mm-hmm.
is going to be worse than that, my fellows.
Yeah. It's
But
gonna be so much worse than that.
yeah,
Oh, it gets so bad. Now, see, now that we're talking about it, it's all coming back to me, and I'm like, oh man. I mean, we go from she's specifically studying to escape an arranged marriage,
yeah,
right? She wants to get in so she can escape an arranged marriage because her foster parents, who do not treat her well, are going to sell her off to somebody so that because they are opium dealers.
they're the
And
worst, man.
then you go to she gets to school and she's smart, but she's so untrained compared to everybody else.
Yeah,
And then like then the war happens and they're put on the front lines already.
I know.
And they're kids, they're babies.
It's so sad. And this is the thing. She's always isolated. I think that's the common thread on the book. She's always isolated because she's not like the others. She doesn't have the
Mm-hmm.
academic background. She has the hard work, but not the background, not the family, not the money or the social status. And it's the common thread. She's isolated, and then she gets more power,
Mm-hmm.
but her choices and her power continues to isolate her because it starts
Mm-hmm.
consuming her. So every choice that she makes grants her more power,
Right,
then leaves her more traumatized and even more alone.
right, right.
I'm laughing because I don't want to cry.
Yeah, you have to laugh because otherwise you will cry. Because she just, all of this, because she just wanted to not be sold off to a
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
And now she's going through a war. She's losing people she knows. She's losing herself. Her mentor turns out to be,
Oh my god.
and then to top it all off, the other big twist that we haven't talked about yet,
Oof.
the Empress just sells her people for her own
Oh, I forgot.
benefit.
I actually forgot about
Yeah.
that. I blocked that out of my. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Rin finds out that the Empress has
Oh my god.
sold her people to the Mujin so that she can be safe somewhere.
We both have, no one can see this, but we're both just like
Yeah.
holding our heads. Oh, I actually had forgot that. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's just like,
no problem. If I have to deal with it, everybody else should have to deal with it too.
She can't win. And this is the thing. She's a mirror of like historical violence and the violence her people were and are going through.
Right.
And she's going through is just violence everywhere. Violence in relationships, violence in her power, violence in her surroundings. I still don't know how we got to a place that at some point online people were saying there was signs of romanticy on this trilogy.
Okay, fun fact. That was like the first thing. Like, I've heard of the popular, I heard of the trilogy. My husband had read it, whatever. Okay. But the first thing I ever really noticed on social media, specifically in the bookish community, was this debate on romance in the trilogy, right? No. And then I read the first book and I'm like, no, she doesn't want that.
And this is the thing, that's why I said to people to read it, because we need, like, I like a romance, guys. I mean, this is the first time I'm saying this, because before I used to say I didn't like romance. Traditionally, I like romance to add something to the story, if I'm honest.
Correct.
But this is why I tell people to read this. We don't need romance in every single book, and this shows, I think this trilogy and this book shows that. But I don't know where that discourse came about, because I had someone mentioning to me, oh, is there romance in the book? And I was like, what? Like, the amount of things you have in this book, you honestly, if you put a romance in here, it doesn't.
When would she have time for romance is the other question.
Poor homegirl is just trying to go to school and not marry some weird guy, but
she just wants to have her own life that is not wrapped up in society's typical belief of what women should be.
Right.
Y'all are missing the point. The point is here, and y'all are like over here completely.
Yeah. The other thing as well, the last time not the last time, but a few times that I've been on the big Waterstones Piccadilly that we have, that is one of the biggest, is the biggest bookstore in Europe. I saw this girl that must have been no more than 8 years old holding this book in her hands, and I was, please. I remember being a kid and reading books that I shouldn't read, but I don't think they had this amount of violence, so watch out.
No.
You're recommending this book. That's why I say I never recommend this book, but if people ask me about it, I say, yes, read it, but
please. Yeah, you should be at least 16, I think.
Yeah.
I think 16 is old enough where you can wrap your head around the more triggering aspects of this book and like.
Yeah, and you don't need to understand everything. I'm sure if I go back and read it again, don't know if that's going to happen. I want to, but again, don't know. I'll probably pick up more things, and even on this chat we're having, is more things are popping in, and like having your gears to think about. It's definitely a book that sticks with you, in a trilogy that sticks with you. And I think the whole internet discourse is why magic doesn't fix everything. Why is it so violent? I think that's, for me, what I like about the book. I know it's weird to say, but that's what I like about it and the whole trilogy, because it makes me think about, I mean, you can apply a lot of the things to the real world. Like you were saying, the feminism, the traditional roles of a woman, academics as well, the amount of people self-harm, and the whole, I mean, RF Kuang is the writer for that, because she's very academic. and the whole war I think it's one of the first fantasy books that I read at the time, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, you know about war, but this is actually showing to you, and
Right.
it's very gory and traumatizing scenes
Right.
depicting it, but it has to be. And sometimes
Yes.
that's what you need on a well, you don't need, but it's good for you to read it to start opening your eyes and your thoughts about it, but also just to make you cry.
Right.
The whole thing.
I think what makes this, at least the Poppy War for me, what made it so easy to just dive in was because of the realism in within the fantasy world.
Right.
Because it's so easy when you're reading fantasy to just like scoot off into the separate world where everything's
Yeah.
great and magic fixes everything and the good guys always win, and then you come to the Poppy War and you're like, that's not the case. This is basically just the real world with a smidge of magic in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even that magic is tainted because of, the historical context and
Right.
the fact that people are becoming addicted and reliant on opium because they can't handle the connection that they have with the god that essentially chooses them, or they choose. Like, it just.
I think that bit is so well constructed, like
Mm-hmm.
like that balance with the real world and the shamanism and the opium. For me, that was so important to see, and how she balanced that.
Right.
Um, I mean, there's no win in this. I'm really trying not to spoil the rest of the series. I'm just like, don't talk about the rest of the books. Um, and the whole, even the training with, the part where she trains and starts
Yes.
embracing her powers. There's a lot of it makes you think about the spiritual power, like we were saying, as an addiction and as
Mm-hmm.
a gift or as a burden. Um, and this is the thing, it's a very consuming narrative, it's a very consuming power, it's a very consuming surroundings that, and she just, the one thing is, she's alone, she's always alone, even though
She's
she tried,
always alone.
she's always alone.
And the one, so further context, she's a Spearly. So Spearlies were basically wiped off
Mm,
the planet um, ages ago, and they thought that there was only one left, and it was I can't remember his name. He's a very talented fighter. Turns out she's also a Spearly, so she starts to find some camaraderie
yeah.
with this, who is, what's his
Is
name?
it
Hold on.
Alton? Alton?
Alton, yes. And she they're working together. She's trying to find some sort of connection where she doesn't feel so alone. And then they get captured. And then they go to some sort of science lab. They are experimented on. Oh, see, Fee forgot all about that.
I didn't.
They're
I didn't. But it's just like the lab. Oh my god.
So it turns out that there is a lab where people are being tested on with regards to opium and what that looks like, particularly with the ones with power. And Alton had been there and then had escaped, released. I can't remember fully the details. One of those. Allowed to fight in the war. Alton and Rin end up back in this lab. And
Ugh.
what happens to the only other Spearly? He sacrifices himself so that Rin can be free. And this book is dark, y'all. You think things are going one way, and then there's a twist, and you're like, no, 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 no. And you want so badly to hold on to that little shred of hope and optimism, and then you're like,
Yeah.
that's not this book. That does not belong in this book.
The one thing with Alton, I remember, Alton in general is very well. I think in general is liked in the
Mm-hmm.
fandom. I will say fandom, because he kind of humanizes a bit Rin and balances her out emotionally and everything. But I don't know. There was, for me, Alton, like the power he had over her, the way she talks about Alton is such with
Mm-hmm.
devotion and everything that for me was so uncomfortable. And I
Yes.
feel is something that for me, when I think about Alton, is a bit like, ugh, don't know.
I don't think he humanized her at all. I think he brought out just the more worse aspects,
Yeah,
like
and I think
her
as well,
worst traits.
and I think it also brings back then the feminism and the
Mm-hmm.
traditional role of a woman and the way she idolizes him. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel for her. You always feel for her the whole book, but uh, she because she finds someone that is just like her, but it's a
Yeah.
man, and he's very powerful, and it's the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. I was so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. I was more uncomfortable with Alton than I was with like Neza. I know Neza is supposed to be the representation of like the toxic elitism and classicism,
Yeah.
but I was more uncomfortable with Alton. I'm
Yes.
again goosebumps. It made me really like, oh, she found someone like her. Ew. There's just the power he had over her was,
Right.
oh,
Like
oh
whereas Neza was is kind of like her equal in a sense. Like
yeah,
they're both equally powerful. They're both willing to cross the line for their own benefit, to get
exactly.
ahead, right? Whereas Alton knows that he has power
Mm, yeah,
over Rin, and I think he uses that to his advantage to get her to do things that she wouldn't want to
right.
do, that she's like trying to hold on to that sliver of humanity within her despite all of the terrible things happening. And Alton's like, or counterpoint, you could just burn it away
Yeah,
as
let's
well
just
as
devastate the
everything
whole
else. Like, let's give them a taste of their own medicine. And it's
oh,
like, it really is a really great depiction of what happens in war. Like,
yeah, yeah. But I ended up at the same time getting sad when he sacrifices himself.
oh yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, that's again the uncomfortable spot that Kwang achieves so well is like,
Mm-hmm.
yep, you're uncomfortable and you're sad about this kind of douche of a guy that makes her go crazy,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a privilege to be able to read something like that as well. Um, with all the symbolism about system and power and man versus woman and all that comes within. But yeah, I remember that's one of the things I have more. There's a lot of talk about Neza and even, I mean, the rest of the book, so I'm not going to spoil it. But Alton, I was just so uncomfortable, even from the start when she. Isn't there a thing at the start that there's a fight or there's a ring that
Yes,
they
he's
fight?
fighting. Yes, that there's a ring in
Yeah,
the within the school where the older kids
fun,
fight one another for basically for what's
fun.
the word I'm looking for? Well, for fun, but also to get that attention, that
Yeah,
positive reinforcement from the the masters around them. And that's when Alton is
shows
first
up.
introduced.
Yeah, it was from the start. I was just like, there's just, oh no, no. There's just
I
something that
know.
makes me so uncomfortable. And then, yeah, that whole hold, I can see him like the image I have is just this guy over
Yes.
her.
Yes.
Just, I'm here. I'm supposed to be a source of comfort, probably for you, because we're the last two.
Two. Right.
Uh, but I've got all this power, and I'm going to tell you it's okay to devastate the whole
Yeah.
country.
And if she doesn't do what he wants her to do, he shuns her.
Yes.
He
Oh.
turns his back on her. He deprives his attention, and which sets her off because what she wants is his it's just
I don't know if it's him, but there's this quote that I wrote on my notes that is, "The world does not owe you mercy. You must take what you need." I don't know if it's him,
I
but
don't remember if that's him.
it's such a good quote for this, and it's one of the things. I mean, we spoke about it, but we didn't name it. Is like This book is really as well about the losing your innocence.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
cost of that, and I'm not talking about, removing your uterus. Is literally the whole thing
No.
is losing your innocence, losing probably the values that you still hold, and the way they
Yeah.
get twisted. And I feel that for Rin. And again, I don't think the point of this book is for you to have a favorite character that you root for. And
No.
although the thing that you want to root for Rin is for her not to be alone.
Right.
But by the end of it, you're like, I don't know where.
Maybe it's better if
Oh,
you're alone. You're kind of dangerous.
yeah, yeah. It
Like,
doesn't.
I've always been big on supporting women's rights and women's wrongs, but there's
Right.
like genocide is like not something
Ugh,
you can support. You
no,
know, it
no.
just
And this is the thing. That's why I think it's such a good book and a good trilogy to make you be uncomfortable and
mhm.
um like kind of reshuffle what a fantasy is in your
Yeah.
head. And this type of historical fantasy is like that. And then I don't know, for me it made me want to research a bit more about the background that Kwang based herself in.
Mhm.
Spoiler, it is as traumatizing or more than these books, obviously. um but it gives you a lot of grounds to see why she wrote these characters the way she wrote.
Right. Right.
um God, go on about it,
Yeah.
but it,
Just challenge your ideas on fantasy
yeah,
and and
power.
challenge your ideas on there being a right and a wrong, a black and a white, magic being a cure all for all the bad things in the world. Like, it just takes everything that you have ever thought about fantasy and flipped it upside down on its head
And
and
there's,
makes you cry
it makes you cry. uh,
a lot.
the one thing that is as well, again, the amount of times, take a shot every time we say uncomfortable. um the the other thing that it shows a lot is like using bodily pain is like a recurring motif here, and it's like Rin's story starts with self-harm, but then it's mutilation, there's burning, there's
Yes.
addiction, there's the whole thing about her sacrificing everything first to get to the school. She will sacrifice her bodies, she will sacrifice hours of sleep to get into the school, but then it just carries on of her trying to sacrifice
Yep.
anything to escape any path someone tries to lay for her. Even if it's
Yep.
cool, if it's war, she's going to do everything to escape what others try to dictate on her, except for Alton. And then it kind of goes a bit too much.
To the detriment of herself too. Like, it's really because she had her mentor, Master Zhang.
Jung, yeah.
Zhang. Um, and I think that's part of the reason why it hurts so bad when she starts idolizing Alton, because he broke her heart, basically.
Yeah.
Jiang Jin broke her heart with, being who he is and who he was, and what he, instead of just fighting,
Yeah.
he runs, and that just hurts Rin on a level. So it's natural for her to replace that mentor with somebody like Alton, and then the whole thing, it just hurts. It just hurts.
Yeah. I think the word that I use as a theme for this book is desperation.
Yes.
It's desperation about everything. It's not. This is not, again, the chosen one with a gift. She's going to shine. Is about this girl clawing her way out of
Mm-hmm.
systemic oppression in every angle, really, and it's through
Mm-hmm.
desperation. It's through
Yeah.
desperation, and desperation means,
Desperation to live,
oh my god,
which makes it worse. Which makes it worse. She just wants to live.
he just wants to live. Oh, poor Ren. This is the thing, and it feels bad to say poor Ren, because then some of the choices she makes, you're like,
You're like,
what
girl,
are you
please.
doing? but again, that's what this book does so good in this trilogy. Is just
Yeah.
makes you uncomfortable. You can't, like, I say I like it and I feel uncomfortable saying, I mean, I don't like it. I really love this trilogy and that makes me uncomfortable to say it, but that's the whole point.
Yes.
For
It's,
me,
it
I
is.
mean, honestly, this for
And
me
it's
is
good
like,
writing.
yeah, for me, this is like a little life in the literary, don't know what this was about, literary fiction world. Um, I've said this in the beginning, but it really is. Um, I do think it's so important to have these type of books, and even on the fantasy spectrum as well, and written
Mm-hmm.
by someone that was 19. She was
Mm-hmm.
19, RF Kuang.
Mm.
Just that for me is like the same as Samantha Shannon writing The Bone Season at 19. RF Kuang.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
it's and for me is it was a world that I wasn't as exposed to women fantasy writers or women writing these
Right.
type of fantasies, which is so important. And I think really this is so underrated in view of probably other fantasies written by men that are not as
Are you
good.
Game of Thrones? Are we talking Game of Thrones?
Maybe. Although
Sorry.
I kind of like
Something in
Game.
my throat.
But it's true. It's true. I kind of wonder how this trilogy, this book, is not. I know for me and probably for you and
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, this shows a lot in our spaces because we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it's still book that deserves, and a trilogy that deserves more space and
Yes.
more commandment in general in the fantasy community. Just saying, just putting it out there.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I've only read the first book. I've only read the first book. And I think that this trilogy has not been spoken about enough at all in the time
Yeah,
that it's been out. Why? I have thoughts about why, but we won't, it should be.
yeah.
It definitely should
It's
be.
an idea for another episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all know. Y'all know. Listeners know. They know. I
I
don't have to say it.
have to say the second book of this trilogy is my favorite. It's I think it's the worst out of the three in terms
Oh,
of
good.
trauma.
Good.
It
Okay.
is my favorite. The arc of it is something. Oh my god, you kind of make me want to reread it. But I don't know.
I mean, we've already rehashed the first book, so you could just pick up the second book
Oh,
and reread
I'll
it.
let you know if I pick it up, and then we can read the
Okay.
second book at the same time. Oh.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything left to add.
No, I kind of feel my shoulders are relaxed now because there was a lot of.
Yeah.
It's surprising I remember a lot of it, although the Empress bit I did it, but thank you for reminding me. Now I'm going to like just hug myself
Yeah.
and just rock myself.
Yes. Just curl up in the fetal position and rock until you soothe yourself.
But read it.
Yeah. Don't take our word for it. Read it for yourself and join us
Absolutely.
as you rock yourself to
You can come and slide into the DMs to either say thank you or just why.
curse people out. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, listeners. That's it for another episode of Margin Mavens. Thank you again, Fee. Listeners,
Thank
make sure you show Fee all sorts of love. They are another amazing Bone Season content creator, and we love the Bone Season here.
Yes.
So make sure you go show her some love.
Thank you for having me.
Please take care of yourselves. Oh, thank you for being here. I'm so excited. We'll have to schedule something again soon. But yeah, listeners, please take care of yourselves. It's tough out there. So do what you have to do. Take care of yourselves. Know you are loved and we appreciate you, and we will see you in the next episode.